So welcome to this webinar. My name is Amy Bell and I work at the NIHR Academy within the Personal Awards team that also manages our partnership awards. I'm very pleased to be joined by colleagues and would like to welcome to the call Dr. Beth Harris, Assistant Director for NIHR Academy Programmes, and Dr. Tom Dallaston, Senior Policy Advisor and Head of the Addiction Healthcare Goals Office for Life Sciences. So Beth and Tom will be speaking to slides throughout this webinar and answering questions that we receive in our Q&A. Okay, so this webinar is intended to provide you with an overview of the NIHR Addiction Healthcare Goals Partnership and awards that are supported within that partnership. This is a new UK-wide collaboration between the NIHR and Office for Life Sciences Addiction Healthcare Goals Programme, and it launched in September of this year. This collaboration is intended to support individuals from across the UK to develop the skills to deliver innovative drug and alcohol addiction research. The collaboration is actually part of a wider Addiction Healthcare Goals Research Leadership Programme to stimulate growth, capacity and research careers in drug and alcohol addiction. So with that, I'll pass over to Tom for an overview of this programme.
Thank you very much, Amy, appreciate that. So yeah, as mentioned, I'm heading up the Addiction Healthcare Goals programme, and we're part of the Office for Life Sciences in the UK government, which is a joint unit between the Department of Health and Social Care, the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, and parts of the Department for Business and Trade as well. So in September, we announced that the Goals programme, the Addiction Healthcare Goals, would be making 10 million available to boost careers in addiction healthcare science. And the aim of this was to provide comprehensive funding to support career development from the sort of pre-award support stages through masters, postdocs and leadership building fellowships as well. We're really pleased to have 3 partners in helping deliver this scheme and ensuring we reach wide and diverse audience in terms of the opportunities that we're providing. So obviously, first of all, the topic of this webinar is focused on the NIHR and the awards through the Academy that are being offered there. And we're particularly pleased that we're able to make opportunities available not just to those in England, but also to those in the rest of the UK as well. So absolutely welcoming applications, working with providers and organisations in the other nations of the UK. You'll obviously hear more about these shortly, including the first 2 of these award types that are now open for applications. We're also very pleased to be working directly with the Medical Research Council to support jointly funded fellowships through their portfolio. The clinical research training fellowships at both the pre and postdoc levels and the clinical scientist fellowships are now open. So I encourage you to look at these 2 if they're relevant to your situation. For instance, if you're in a clinical role. And our partnership on the Career Development Awards will be opening next year, early next year, providing a route for building leadership in non-clinical research backgrounds as well. Then finally, the Society for the Study of Addiction was selected to lead the flagship research leadership scheme and created specifically to support the addiction field with expertise in that sector. The SSA have a strong track record in providing fellowships and training to the addiction field specifically, and so we're very pleased that they can support this widely as well. They have opportunities already open now as well, including the PhD and fellowship schemes that they offer, and again other opportunities at the pre and postdoc transition scheme levels, and master's bursaries will be opening in 2026, and schemes will also be developed to support leadership training. The QR codes on this page and the additional links and information at the end of the pack will provide links and more information and application pages across those 3 schemes. But you can also follow up with me at the email at the end of the pack if you have direct questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So as outlined, there are lots of opportunities as part of the wider programme, and we're working very closely with colleagues that are delivering those respective programmes to ensure that we maximise the impact of this collective investment and opportunity. So narrowing the focus now to the NIHR and AHG partnership, this aims to enable health, public health and social care researchers from all professions, settings and sectors to bring together experience and valuable insights into the UK addiction research landscape. So through this partnership, we will support future research leaders to develop the relevant skills and capabilities to deliver innovative prevention, treatment and recovery research studies. And we'll also drive innovation and the integration of drug and alcohol research outputs into clinical and social care practice. So as noted, this is a UK-wide partnership. And so through this collaboration, individuals across England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales can apply to upcoming NIHR career development opportunities. This partnership's available through the awards listed. So the pre-doctoral award, doctoral award, development and skills enhancement award, which is at a postdoctoral stage, and the pre-application support fund, which covers all career stages. We do strongly encourage applications from a broad range of groups, disciplines, professions and sectors, and successful applicants will become academy members and so benefit from a programme of support, events and activities which include professional development opportunities as well as networking opportunities as well. So I'll now hand over to Tom to provide an overview of the AHG priorities and then to Beth to discuss the awards available within the partnership.
Thank you very much. So yes, to remind people, for eligibility for our particular partnership with the NIHR in this scheme, it's important that applicants align their potential research and applications with priorities through the addiction healthcare goals. So the first point to make on this one is that the addiction healthcare goals is focused on drug and so illicit drug and alcohol addictions only. We are not supporting tobacco or behavioral addictions through our particular partnership. It's also important to say that, as in the name, the focus is on established addiction and the treatment or recovery pathways or harm prevention in that position. So not looking at primary prevention of use or other wider public health strategies for reducing harm. We're obviously aiming to support a very diverse cohort of future leaders from a range of backgrounds, professions and specialities, including in the various clinical and healthcare settings that the NIHR support. And we're very keen to embed research leadership across more places and settings UK-wide. It will help if your applications can be clearly aligned with the addiction healthcare goal objectives around fostering innovation and supporting better healthcare outcomes for people with these addictions, and also align with government strategies like the 10-year drug strategy, local strategies, and other UK-wide strategies and priorities in drug and alcohol addiction treatment recovery needs. And finally, I'll point out that we've recently published with the James Lind Alliance a priority setting partnership top 10 research priority list that can be found online. Again, that information will be available later in this pack. And aligning with that list of priorities will again be a strong thing to include in your bids. And I will now hand back over to the team to continue giving some more information on these particular applications.
Thanks very much, Tom. So I'm now going to talk you through some more specific information about this. We continue that as the Addiction Healthcare Goals has its own sort of eligibility and remit, the Academy Personal Awards also have a remit that we work within, which is applied health and care research. So if you're proposing research through one of our awards, you need to ensure that your research fits within our remit. If you're at all unsure, we would advise you to contact the team who can advise, and we've got a link here to our full remit. Just to note also that a few of the schemes that we're going to be talking about today don't fund a programme of research, but they are preparing you to apply for another NIHR Career Development Award that does. So it's important that even if you're not applying for one of our schemes that does fund research, that the research area you're developing in would be within our remit, so you'd be eligible for those schemes in the future. Next slide, please. Thanks, Amy. So there's 4 schemes that we're going to be talking about today at various levels to support your Career Development Award. So the first award we're talking about is our pre-doctoral award, which will be opening in January. So this scheme is designed to support people to advance their health or social care career who are not yet at the doctoral level. So people who are developing master's level training who may have aspirations to go on to do a PhD. So there are several areas that we target with this particular scheme. There's individuals who are working in a local authority or associated setting, registered HCPs working in an NHS setting. So an HCP is a health and care professional. What we mean by this is nurses, midwives, allied health professionals, and other regulated clinicians or practitioners who are not medics or dentists. You could also be a GP or a general dental practitioner or a community dentist or an HCP that works in a primary care setting. Or you might be an applicant who is developing a career as a methodologist. If you are a clinical or a practitioner applicant, bear with me, something just popped up in front of my slide, thank you. We do expect you to be using the pre-doctoral award to also support your development of a PhD application. So it will fund time for you to be developing your doctoral level application as well. There's slightly different expectations if you're developing a methodological career where you may not necessarily be going on to do a PhD, and that's fine. But for the other ones, we would expect that as part of your application. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, I think we might have skipped. Thank you. No, we haven't. As you were, thank you. So what does this award fund? So if you are a local authority, a HCP or a primary care applicant, it can give you up to 1 year full-time equivalent time. So this is us paying your salary for the time that you're undertaking this award. It's protected time for you to be doing the award, but paid at the salary that you are currently at. So you're not having to take a pay hit in order to start developing your research career. If you're developing a career as a methodologist, you can request up to 2 years full-time equivalent. However, because people don't all work full-time, you can opt to undertake the award flexibly, anywhere between 30 and 100% whole-time equivalent. But please note that the maximum time you can take one of these awards up for is 4 years. So we will fund you to do, I say, master's level training. If you want to do a full master's, we will pay the master's fees as well at the UK rate. Or if you're proposing master's level training, that could be master's modules or other training at this level, you can request up to £5,000 per full-time equivalent year. We will also support your continued development of your research career by giving you a budget of £1,000 where you can attend conferences. And there's also a budget of £1,000 which you can use to spend working with your patients or your communities to ensure that if you are going on to develop a PhD proposal, you can show how you've been working with people and communities and that you've thought about research inclusion as part of your application. So working with people and communities is our new term for PPI. It encompasses both patient and public involvement and working with communities and working globally if you're a global health researcher. And research inclusion is a priority now for us to ensure that the research will benefit everybody that it's applicable to. So because we want you, if you're applying for one of our research funding awards, to be able to demonstrate that you have involved patients and the public or communities in the development of your research, that you will involve them in the undertaking of your research and that you will involve them in the dissemination of your research, we offer a budget through this award to enable you to start thinking about that so that you'll be more competitive at the next level. And then finally, there's an £1,000 available for supervisory fees as well. We ask at this level that you identify individuals that will provide supervision for you, similar to a sort of PhD supervisor who can help you prepare your PhD application. And there's a £1,000 available that you can use to support that. Just of note, if you already hold a master's qualification, you can apply for one of these awards, but we wouldn't expect you to be applying for the full year or the full 2 years. you could apply just for a little bit of training and for time to develop your PhD application, but we would expect you to apply for a shorter duration, such as 6 months. Thank you very much. So the pre-doctoral award will open in January. If you apply, once the competition closes, we will process your application and allocate it to our committees for review. For the pre-doctoral award, we have 4 specific committees that support the 4 areas of focus for this scheme. So we have a Health and Care Professionals Funding Committee, a Local Authority Social Care and Public Health Funding Committee, a Primary Care Funding Committee, and a Methodology Funding Committee. And your application would be allocated to the right committee for your professional background and the area that you're developing your research career in. Thanks, Amy. So the next level of award that we're offering this partnership through is our doctoral award. So this is an award that would enable you to undertake a PhD via research. This opened in October, so you can look at the details of this now live on our website, and we'll show you a link to that nearer the end. So the doctoral award is open to anyone doing applied health and care research, and we get a broad range of applications to the scheme. We have people who are developing methodology careers, such as statisticians or health economists. We have medics and dentists. We have a range of health and care professionals and people who are full-time researchers based at universities. So everybody has to be doing applied health and care research. You are asked to submit the research proposal for the research you'll be doing for your PhD, and this must be within our remit that we talked about earlier. If you are clinical or a practitioner, such as someone based in a local authority setting, you have the option to include 20% of your time funded to do clinical or practice time. So this enables you to, as part of your award, continue being funded through the award to do your clinical or practice time, but you're an extra pair of hands. So this isn't as part of your day job. And as such, you've got the opportunity to work with your employer or your clinical or practitioner provider that you work for to develop your clinical skills or your practice skills further through the award. If you'd like to apply for a doctoral award, you must hold a first class or upper second class bachelor's degree or a master's degree. You can apply if you've already registered for a PhD, but you have to have not registered for more than 12 months whole-time equivalent by the time the award would start. Thanks, Amy. A doctoral award is a very generous award. It offers you 3 years whole-time equivalent worth of funding, by which we mean, again, your salary. So again, you can tell us what salary you currently work at. You might be senior clinically, but we will still pay the salary that you're currently at, so you're not having to take a hit to develop your research career. And again, you can undertake this award part-time, anywhere between 0.5 and 1 whole-time equivalent. These awards, as I say, fund your salary. They fund the cost of the research that you're proposing. They fund the costs of your working with people and communities contribution to your research, what was formerly PPI, and any costs to ensure that your research is inclusive. And it also funds a bespoke package of training and development for you. So this is the activities that you design for yourself that you need to undertake both the award and to progress your research career. So there might be specific training that you need to do the research that you're proposing. There might be new methodologies that you're going to be using, for instance, and we would fund that. But you could also identify areas that you need to develop your research career more broadly, such as leadership skills. And we encourage people to think about not just the training they need to do the award, but later on in the award, training that they'll need for that next stage of their research career. We also offer £3,000 conference-related costs, so you can go and meet other researchers and present your research and network, and full PhD fees at the UK home rate. Again, if you submit an application, we will assess it for remit and eligibility, and then we will allocate it to one of our 3 specific committees for review. And they each have this particular focus, again, of one focuses on people from a local authority social care and public health background, one for health and care professionals, and one that will look at any other researchers. So that would be medics, dentists, statisticians, etc. Thank you. So we're now going to talk about 2 awards that are designed to support you if you think these awards sound great, but I'm not sure I'm quite ready, or I'm not sure I will be quite competitive yet to apply for these schemes. So we've got 2 awards that provide funding and support for you to develop applications to other NIHR Career Development Awards. So starting off with the pre-application support fund, this opened in September. So again, you can have a look at it on our website now. You see the application form and all the funding opportunity information. This scheme has been specifically designed to provide extra support to those who need it to enhance their chances of making a successful application to an NIHR Career Development Award, by which we mean people who might, if they were going to look at applying for, I don't know, a doctoral award, might look at that and think, I'm going to struggle to be competitive right now because I've had a particular challenge and I need some additional support and time so that I can develop myself so that I can then be competitive to apply for an NIHR Career Development Award. And we are particularly encouraging applications from groups and professions who are underrepresented within NIHR, who you can see on our website, particular target areas that we really want to encourage to use this award so that they can go on to apply for more of our career development awards. Applicants for the pre-application support fund can request funding for up to 12 months, and we wouldn't normally expect an award to be requested that would last less than 6 months. We wouldn't normally expect people to be requesting to be working on this full time. Largely our applicants are asking for some time in addition to carrying on with their work or other responsibilities. If you are requesting funding that's more than 60% full-time equivalent, we ask you to really clearly outline the reasons for this in your application. So in your applications for this award, we're asking you, why do you feel like you need this additional support? And that would include what percentage of time you need in order to undertake the award. Thanks, Amy. A pre-application support fund provides contribution to your salary for the time that you're undertaking the award. It provides some conference costs of up to £1,000, including your travel and subsistence at the conference. And then a training and development budget of up to £5,000, including travel and subsistence costs related to that training and development. So again, this is a bespoke training and development package for you to develop around yourself and to make you competitive and to develop the skills you need. You can also request up to £3,000 of support and mentorship costs. And that might include the costs associated with gaining mentorship and supervisory support, or you might choose to use that to do some work with PPI communities, working with people in communities, and to develop inclusive research as part of your development of a competitive application. And for this award, we will also consider other costs that you might require as additional support that extends beyond these categories above. So if you've got particular reasonable adjustments or additional needs in order to make these awards accessible to you, you can request them. And there's some examples of these sorts of things on our website. Thank you. And then finally, our Development and Skills Enhancement Award. So this again is additional support for people who want to go on to apply for one of our postdoctoral career development awards. So this supports postdoctoral early to mid-career researchers to develop specific skills and experiences to support the next stage of their research career. So this very much isn't just time to develop an application, unlike the pre-application support fund. This is people proposing very specific skills that they realise are a gap in their CV that they need to develop in order to be competitive at the next stage of their research career. And we have some specific areas of focus for the DSE award, which include we support a lot of people who want to become trialists or do more work in clinical trials and want to spend some time in clinical trials units, for instance. But we also have a strong support for the HCP community, for people who might have been academic and want to make sure they're supporting their clinical academic career, or have spent a lot of time in clinical research leadership and want to support their research career to progress themselves. If you're applying for a DSE, you must hold a PhD or MD. If you're applying for a DSE, you must hold a relevant PhD or MD or have submitted your thesis at the time of application. And if you're a clinical academic applicant, you must have completed your pre-registration training. Thank you. You can do a DSE at 12, 18 or 24 months, anywhere between 50 and 100% whole-time equivalent. To note, largely the 24-month option is available to HCP applicants only. If you were not from an HCP background and you wanted 24 months, please get in contact with the team to discuss why you think you need 24 months before putting in an application. And then the funding support available through a DSE is your salary for the time you're undertaking the award again, and then the training and development costs that you identify that you need to support your career. And that includes travel and subsistence up to £5,000 per full-time equivalent year that you're undertaking the award, and conference costs up to £1,000 per full-time equivalent year of the award, and mentorship costs up to £3,000. And all of this information for all of these schemes is available on the award pages for the website. If you Google NIHR and the name of the scheme, you'll be able to find it. If you're interested in a live competition, it's the funding opportunity page where you'll find the links to the information related to that specific competition. And we've got a link to that coming up. So just a few bits finally from me to note about if you're applying for a partnership award specifically. So what do we mean by a partnership award? So the NIHR manages a large portfolio of NIHR career development awards that we fund. Partnership awards are where we offer funding jointly by us and partners, which may be charities or industries, for instance. These are a win-win situation, we find, in that we can, for us, we offer our applicants an opportunity to develop relationships with another funder or another organisation. They can develop relationships with another organisation. It expands the networks that they've got access to, and it broadens the opportunity to disseminate their research. For the partner, we've got the awards and the application machinery in place. So for smaller companies especially, it's an opportunity for them to be able to offer these schemes without having to create their own application processes. The partnership awards, importantly though, offer exactly the same opportunities as they would for a non-partnership award. So if you apply for a DSE as a partnership award or you apply for a DSE standardly, you've got the same funding opportunities available. It might have a slightly different name if you're successful and it's got a charity partner, but that would be the only difference. And now standard terms and conditions apply. And there might be some additional terms and conditions for the co-funder of the award. Thank you, Amy. If you choose to apply for a partnership award, it's exactly the same process as if you apply for one of our standard personal career development awards. So again, we encourage you to read all the information on our award page, in the guidance notes and on the funding opportunity page. We do encourage you to make sure you've read any specific eligibility though that there might be for a particular partner, as we've noted for this partnership already. And of particular note for this partnership, the devolved administrations, so applicants from Wales, Scotland or Northern Ireland can apply for the Addiction Healthcare Goals Partnership, but they wouldn't be able to apply for the standard scheme. So make sure that you've checked out the funding page and you know who's eligible and who's contributing to the award for which competition. If you open up the application form on the application summary information page, you'll see the question Partnership Award. And if you're interested in applying for this partnership, you click Addiction Healthcare Goals in your application, and then we will know that you're interested in applying for this partnership award. Thank you, Amy. Again, there's no different assessment process. Your application will be treated in the exact same way as any standard applications. This means that, and again, apologies to the devolved administration applicants, if you are from England, if you apply for this partnership and there isn't sufficient funding to support everybody through the partnership, you would still be in the pot for a standard award. So there's no separate treatment of you, and there's no coming out of the award if there's not enough funding. We would just fund you in the standard way. So there's no risk to you. It's a win-win. If you think you might be interested in the partnership, do select it. To note though that data sharing, if you select a partnership award, we will share your information with the partner. So we will share your application details, and if successful, we would share progress reports and annual reports with that partner.
Thank you, Beth. So here we have a summary of the key dates. So as noted, we currently have 2 calls open for the Pre-Application Support Fund and the Doctoral Award for which this partnership is supported. So the key dates there for Pre-Application Support Fund, that closes on the 4th of December, 1 p.m, and the Doctoral Award is the 15th of January at 1 p.m. The DSE and the Pre-Doc Award will go live in December and January, respectively, and you can sign up to receive an NIHR funding alert to keep up to date with the funding opportunities that come out, and you do so by subscribing to the NIHR newsletter. As noted, interested individuals should ensure their research area of interest falls within the NIHR remit and also aligns with the AHG priorities. So where there's any doubt, we'd strongly encourage applicants to reach out to either Academy or OLS colleagues to seek clarification through the details on screen. We do have some additional resources that may also be of interest. We have lots of information on the NIHR web pages, with particular note to award-specific webinars, which often include insights from the chairs and members of the selection committees on how to prepare a competitive application. And we also have links to other opportunities available through the Addiction Healthcare Goals Research Leadership Programme. So I'll pause just for a few seconds here to allow screenshots of the QR codes. So this will direct you to the NIHR Career Development Opportunities page, in addition to the NIHR Academy, to learn more about that Academy offering. And similarly, just pause for a few seconds. So these links will take you through to the opportunities that Tom spoke about as part of the Addictions Healthcare Goals Research Leadership Programme. And finally, here's an event that's taking place later this month. It's an in-person event in London. So you can get further information through scanning the QR code. And this is supported jointly through Innovate UK and the Office for Life Sciences. Okay, so I'll now stop sharing and we will move to the Q&A portion of this webinar. So let's see. So first question, Beth, will the Partnership Award be available through the NIHR Postdoctoral Award, please?
So it's not at the moment, but we are keeping that under review, and that we may decide to open up to the Postdoctoral Award next year. So if you're interested in applying for the Postdoctoral Award, do keep an eye out on the funding opportunities, do sign up to the newsletter, and we will include any changes and updates in there.
Thanks, Beth. Another question, would research into the barriers for marginalised community members accessing addiction-related healthcare, e.g. psychotherapy, group support, fall within remit? Tom, please.
Yeah, no, happy to answer that one. And I would just say, actually, on the first question, that while the NIHR Postdoc Award isn't currently being supported, obviously the England-based applicants could apply through the usual eligibility for that scheme, and with the SSA and MRC options that were flagged, there are postdoc options that could be pursued if relevant there as well. So I'd encourage people to look to those. Speaking about the particular question from the Q&A there, Beth, on Amy, on the scope of that call, I would just remind participants that the scope of the Addiction Healthcare Goals is primarily on developing or testing innovative treatment or recovery options and harm prevention interventions, rather than necessarily identifying barriers to access to treatment or similar questions. However, on that one in particular, if the research was potentially focused on how the use of innovative interventions could better enable access, mitigate barriers to treatment, then that could be in scope. So you can see that there can be a range of ways that different people's research could be developed to be in scope. And again, I'm happy to take questions at that Addiction Healthcare Goals email address if people would like to follow up on particular research plans.
And just to note that if it's not in remit for the partnership, it might still be in remit for the NIHR Academy Career Development Skills Standard competitions. So have a look.
Thank you, Beth. So another question that's come through the chat. So for applicants from Northern Ireland, specifically nurses within addictions, both pre-masters and post-masters, what are the best options for applications? So Beth, if I come to you first, if that's okay.
I suppose pre-master, I suppose it depends on what else they've done and what research experience they have to date. It sounds like for those individuals, they'd probably be looking at the pre-doctoral award where they can develop their master's level training the only thing to note there, of course, is that they would need to be fairly happy that they're on the route to developing a PhD, and that's what their next step would be.
And I guess to add to that one then, in terms of the other options through the wider scheme outside of NIHR that would support the master's level support would be through the SSA. Master's bursaries due to open next year, and certainly in scope for a range of healthcare professionals. So I'd look at that post-masters, as you say, Beth. There are the NIHR routes for PhDs, and that is also the case for clinicians at the sort of what's called the pre-doctoral level at the MRC, so entering into that PhD studies, and at the SSA PhD applications, which are open at the moment.
Thanks both. So another question, how many rounds of these awards are likely to be supported through the AHG partnership? So Beth, if I could come to you first, please.
Again, we're keeping that under review. I mean, there's a set amount of funding, and we'll see how many applications get, how many fundable applications we get, and we'll keep that under review in the future. So again, it'll be on the website. We will promote continuation of this partnership as it's available.
Thanks, Beth. So another that's come through, interested in the Partnership Doctoral Award. Is there any seniority or age barrier? So an eligibility question, I'm in a leadership position and I'm older.
And the answer is no. We look at, I mean, the award level that you apply to, as you've rightly identified, relates to the where you are in your research career. So if you haven't done a PhD yet, and if that's the next step for your research career, absolutely apply for that. And the committee will be looking at not how senior you are clinically, but what you've done with your research career to date, and if this is the right level of award for you.
Thanks, Beth. Another question that's come through, is there any funding for between PhD submission and applying for postdoc to, for example, create more practical output from your thesis?
Yes, I mean, you could look at the pre-application support fund if you needed particular additional support in order to develop your application. That covers that stage, but you would need to be able to demonstrate that you have a particular challenge that you've identified that would mean that you wouldn't be competitive now to apply for the next stage, but you do need a pre-application support fund in order to do that.
Okay, so a question in regards to the DSE award. So should the narrative for your application be towards a specific postdoc stream? So for applicants in Wales, what postdoc fellowship should be sought if some NIHR ones are not applicable to Welsh applicants and the SSA deadline has passed? So Beth first. Yeah.
We ask you in your application for DSE and a pre-application support fund to identify where it is that you want to go next, so that the committee can assess whether or not you think the activities that you're proposing for your award would enable you to do that. So absolutely, you'd need to identify what the next stage is, but we do identify that for a devolved government applicant, the postdoctoral opportunity may not be available. It might, but it might not be. So we would encourage you to propose the next step that would be available to you as a devolved government applicant from within your nation.
I'm happy to come in briefly. I think I would agree with all of that. I think I do appreciate for applicants that there are a lot of different schemes with different timelines opening across the wider AHG research leadership scheme, and so it can be tricky to line it, and without knowledge of exactly whether there will be further partnership supported rounds in future years. At this point, I understand it's a little complex to work out when to apply. I would look at those timelines that are available and the key ones so far posted on the slide earlier in this pack, which will be available online. And for the moment, encourage people, if they feel like they have a relevant application, to apply to rounds now, whether that be a specific fellowship or master's program or PhD, or one of those bridging awards or skill development awards, if they feel like they're in that gap. And then later down the line, the other business as usual schemes will be available where relevant and where applicable. And it could be, as we've discussed, that there are future rounds of funding that are supported through the partnership approach we're talking about here as well. So I wouldn't wait too long, but I would also make sure that you're ready when you apply with an idea that fits. And again, while colleagues in NIHR and across the other institutions are happy to discuss specific remits and eligibility, I'm very happy to discuss the specific research proposals and maybe mapping careers, as well as our independent chair, Anne Lickford Hughes, who is keen to support applicants in this space as well.
Thank you, Tom. So I believe that's all the questions answered, just looking through the chat and the Q&A. And so with that, I guess we bring the webinar to a close. We hope you found this webinar informative, and the key take-home message, please do reach out to Academy colleagues and OLS colleagues if you have any further questions or points of clarification on this partnership, and best wishes with any potential applications moving forward. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks all.